This shop in the middle of Taunton is more of a landmark. It was run by 5 generations of the same family for 183 years until it closed in 2019. And that could have been the end of the story and it just became another boarded up shop. But a local businessman had a fantastic idea to open a motor museum right here in the heart of Taunton. And that dream came to fruition last week when Richard Hammond came along and opened it up. And we'll put a link there to the video we did of that event. Now today we're going to go in, we're going to have a look around the museum, we're going to have a chat with Pat and find out more about him, and also we're going to talk to him about some of his sort of more favourite cars. And here we are with the man that has made it all happen, Pat Hawkins. Pat, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
You're welcome.
First thing, Richard Hammond opened this museum a few days ago. Has he left something behind? Because this will look a very familiar car to a lot of people watching.
Well, clearly we thought he did. It was a huge surprise to me that he's left this car behind. A few days before, they said, have we room for a car? Not thinking for one second he was going to leave this car here. How great is that?
And of course, the great thing about this car is it's quite legendary in the fact it was the very last car that Richard Hammond drove on Top Gear. You know, I think that's absolutely incredible.
This is a car. I mean, I believe it was blue. He then decided to make this into a race car in conjunction with his Richard Hammond workshop, the smallest car. My understanding is that he spent something like 65, maybe £70,000 on bringing this car up to speed.
Wow. So to all the museums, Pat, how have we ended up here in this great new facility? What was the trigger? How did we get here?
So, I mean, there's obviously more than one reason, but I think, quite honestly, the main drive was the fact that I was very ill in 2018, and I spent near on a year in and out of hospital, and there was, I think it was about 4 months that I was in hospital at one stage, maybe 5 months. I was diagnosed with an unusual heart condition. It was the only one in the UK that had been diagnosed with this condition. I really thought it was curtains. And when you spend that amount of time in hospital and you really think it's the end, your mind, if you have an active mind for somebody that's been in business all their lives, really. I bought and sold my first car when I was 11 years old. I started my own business when I was 18. I rented some premises locally, which is only footsteps away from here.
And so, we ended up in what was a shop in the middle of Taunton, a well-known shop. And what was the trigger? You saw the premises and you went, I know what I can do with that, or was it you had the concept and...
I really wanted to do something for the people and our county town that has really suffered for an awful long time. Not just our county town, let's look all over the country.
It's a nationwide issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But the other thing with this is that people might not understand is the base of this, even though you mentioned your business history there, this is completely separate to that, isn't it? This is a charity. It's set up with...
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, I funded this up to this date. I funded this with my personal savings. So everything I funded myself. We tried to get grants. We tried to get assistance from the local authority. Don't forget, we've been in the midst of a pandemic. And don't forget that, if you look at the lottery grants and look at anyone else that would perhaps under normal circumstances give you some funding, they were just funding the people that really needed it, the existing businesses, and I get that now. I didn't understand that at the time, because if you're in need of a bit of finance, you don't really understand the fact that there's a lot of other people that needed some as well.
And we're only in the first week. We're here on the Sunday. You opened previous Monday, but so far it's been... exceeded your expectations?
You can't believe it. We had well over 400 people in here yesterday. Well over 400.
That must have been quite busy.
It was busy. But we're saying it was busy. It wasn't... We could have coped with a bit more, quite honestly. I thought really our capacity in a day was probably 250, maybe 300. So I was quite amazed because people sort of flow nicely. They end up going into the coffee shop. But we've had people that have spent 3 and 4 hours here. 3 and 4 hours. I mean, a friend of mine who's just sold a business, he spent 4 hours here yesterday. He drove down from London and he's coming back again today. And what a feeling.
It must give you a fantastic buzz. And the other thing, we talk about, what is for you the essence of the collection you're trying to put on here? Because obviously different museums do different things. What's the core of what you're trying to offer here?
Okay, I wanted a museum that's for the people, not a museum for Pat Hawkins. It's a museum for everyone. So therefore, you don't really want to put stuff. I didn't want to put cars in here that is all about myself. I wanted to put cars in that other people, that they can relate to them. And also, we can change this over. We can change it. We can replenish this stock whenever we want to. We've got lots and lots of friends and colleagues that have offered to lend stuff. I'm not exaggerating. We've probably got, I don't know, I'm going to guess now, 100 emails from people that have offered cars on loan that have come in this week alone.
Oh, wow.
And really, really unusual stuff. You can't actually go out and buy one of these cars and say, I'll put it in the museum yourself, because it's not for sale. And so you've got to rely on people that are going to help you and lend it to you. Loaning is great. Lending is great. As I said, we are a charity, and the charity has to cover its cost here. Also, your colleagues that have a good collection as well, it's for their enjoyment as well. So therefore, they're going to get massive satisfaction out of seeing their cars in the museum and for people to enjoy.
And sharing the joy that they get out of owning those cars.
Exactly.
Which is, you know.
Do you know the thing about what we're saying here? When you get to a certain age, and don't think for a second that I'm past.
I'm not going to that.
No, but look, I think it's, again, when you've had some culture shocks in your life, you've lost friends, you're unwell yourself, and you suddenly get, it suddenly hits you that it's time to start sharing. And I'm having more satisfaction out of people enjoying my cars, and my colleagues are getting exactly the same, where they're enjoying their cars. And Richard Hammond, look, he's left his car here for the enjoyment of people, and for people to see it. And how fantastic is that?
And support someone like that is actually brilliant. And you can see the passion and the speech. And we'll put a link in for the video we did of this museum opening. But he showed an awful lot of passion, I think, in that opening speech about, you know, bringing these cars that, you know, we all remember it, but the younger people among us don't. And, you know, it's for them to come and experience and share the joy that we get from these.
Yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot of the youngsters that would know the cars that we've got in here, like the Rally Escorts. They would have seen that. Maybe their dads, their uncles, their friends, and so on. A lot of the youngsters would have seen this car. You can Google that. I mean, this car here, although it's a replica,
yeah.
But if you had to buy a real one, you could pay up to $5 million.
Well, if anyone who watches knows I love kit cars, so
it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, this has a 356, the original sort of race engine in this car. This belongs to Roy Smith. He's had an absolute fortune spent on it. It's got 180, 190 brake. It weighs under 500 kilos. It is so much fun.
It's a go-kart.
I mean, Richard wanted to drive that around to the opening, and I said, Richard, I don't want it on his roof going down Hammond Street. So I said it's best for me to drive it.
So we're here today. We're almost a week in from opening. What does the future hold? Where you know, if we come back in 6 or 12 months, you know, what are we?
The future's exciting. And I always look forward to the future. I don't dwell on the past, and I don't dwell on failure or if you've not done something quite right. Let's get over it. Let's get on with it. Let's just focus on the future. Enjoy the moment. That's important as well.
Yeah.
But focus on the future. I'm now looking forward now to changing and replenishing the stock.
But the great thing for that is the people who've, seen the opening, they've come along, they've enjoyed it, they can come back again and it'll be different.
Yeah, which I mean, there's been so many people over this last few days. Do you do a season ticket? Well, we decided not to do that at this stage for the simple reason I don't really think we need to do that straight away, because if it was a season ticket and the people are coming back in, say, 6 months and they see the same cars, I get that completely. But if we're going to replenish all the exhibits in here, or a majority of the exhibits, they're basically coming in and looking at something again. And don't forget, we are a charity, and it has to cover its costs. Well, our electricity.
You were saying this is eye-watering. Listen to how much electric bill is.
I mean, our electricity bill, whilst we were doing the building up, was probably 20 to 25% of the lights on, was £1,000 a month. We anticipate our electricity now, from now on, certainly through the winter period, could be £3,500, could be £4,000 a month. And that,
that's proper money.
It is proper money. It's proper money. And then we've got all the staff that have got to be paid. Okay, we've got some wonderful volunteers, but we've also got people that have to be paid. You can't expect everyone to come in and volunteer, because they've got mortgages, they've got running costs, they've got all the things that we've already got. So they've got to be paid. So we need money coming in on a regular basis. You cannot get complacent.
So talking of finances, one thing people can come and enjoy, and you don't have to buy a ticket for the museum to get access to it, is your coffee shop upstairs.
Everyone's welcome to go to the coffee shop. And we've got the most wonderful staff running the coffee shop.
And I've enjoyed it this morning. It is great. And
on the back of that, I actually said to them yesterday, if I lived to 1,000,000 years old, I would never find two better people to run it. And I mean that.
That is, yeah.
I'm talking about my other regard as well. My other staff that I've got here as well, the majority of them, I feel the same way, including the volunteers.
And the volunteers must be so important to an operation like this. You couldn't do it without it, I imagine.
We just simply couldn't afford to pay all these salaries, because, I'm guessing, I mean, I don't even know. I've not spoken to all the guys this morning because I've not seen them all. But I would think we've probably got half a dozen, maybe 8 volunteers here today. And we've probably got the same people on a salary here today. So if we'd be sort of up to 16 people here working today, I would think.
Well, the other thing you touched on, and I know you said you can't do it yet, is that the facilities you got there with the coffee shop, you were looking possibly for the future, maybe to be involving clubs to use that space in some way, shape or form?
Look, fantastic. Again, clubs, it's really important that you've got clubs that are a part of what we're doing here, because on the back of that, you've got some of the guys in the clubs that have got unusual cars. Once they see what we're doing here,
one feeds another.
Wheels as in wheels. They're going to say, look, we'd love to put some stuff in here.
Well, the one thing that sticks out to me that people may not have noticed in the background is the car lift, which is literally just behind us. So if anyone's wondering how the cars got upstairs, they didn't, get carried up. They literally went up a 4-post ramp that's behind us.
So the car lift here is called a access lift. So it's not a standard ramp, you can go out and buy maybe a standard lift for, I don't know, £3,000-4,000. You're talking 30,000 for this lift. Because it is a floor lift. This lifts to just under 4 meters, where a normal lift would lift to, I'm guessing, 2.6 or 2 point, whatever it is. So this is a floor lift, and it has to go to, obviously, that height, and it's much bigger. And then we obviously have to make the space for it to fit in as well. So, You know, this is quite a lot of work.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Pat, it has been an absolute pleasure to chat to you to understand your motivation and where you're taking it. And I think for Taunton, this is absolutely fantastic. It's bringing an absolute wonderful draw to the centre of town. As you say, nationwide, we've got an issue with closed shops, and you've gone and done something completely different to what most people would think of. It's not, you haven't just turned into a coffee shop or whatever. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Really, I hope you really enjoyed that. And we're going to do some more videos here and show people around a few of Pat's favourite cars and just to see what else is in the museum. Well, that was a great insight into this new museum in the market town of Taunton. Pat gave us some great stories about how this has all come about, and I really hope you take an opportunity to come and visit in the very near future. And in the meantime, you know I'm going to ask, hit that subscribe button.